All right, continuing on with the Underworld franchise with Underworld Awakening. Beckinsale is back and fiercer than ever. Um, not a white wolf on here? Maybe not. Anyway, so this is the fourth film in this franchise, and I feel like this is where it starts to become almost like a Resident Evil franchise or something that just feels, you know, like it has some elements of the first three, but is kind of just stripped of its heart. Now, I don't want to say it's bad, because I don't think it's bad. I think there's a decent amount of good in the movie. But the way I felt walking away from both Awakening and Blood Wars, because they both feel very similar. They feel like they're sequels to each other. That they're kind of contained. It's almost like, Die Hard 1, 2, and 3. And then there's uh, Live Free or Die Hard and Die Hard fucking Live, or what's the other one? A Good Day to Die Hard. Yeah, I've only seen that movie once. I remember it being not good at all, to say the least. And it just, yeah, it feels like that. It feels like that's a sequel to Live Free or Die Hard. And then the first three are all like in their own little universe. And then the fourth and the fifth one, it's like, okay, I kind of see some John McClane things going on, but and that's really kind of how this one is, and how the next one is. Their own. It's almost like a spin-off. Still has Kate Beckinsale, and it still has reoccurring characters. Some, flashbacks and whatnot. But it introduces its all new thing. It's like a soft reboot. That's what it feels like. That's what I should be saying here. It's a soft reboot. Yes, there's reoccurring elements. The themes are similar. The story is continued, but essentially they've basically just wiped the slate clean. They got rid of Michael Corvin. They got rid of the time period in which they were in. She's drugged. She's frozen, and she wakes up, and it's been 12 years. And then we're introducing all these new characters. We're introducing her daughter, obviously. We're introducing these new guys that are fighting these werewolves, and it's like this totally different world, which I guess makes sense. You don't want to redo the same film over and over again. It's an interesting choice to just completely excise Michael Corvin, which I'm fine with, to be honest, because I don't really care for their romance all that much, and him as a character is okay to me. I mean, he's not even okay. He's blah. There's nothing memorable about Michael to me. So I'm fine with them ditching that element of it. It's just interesting how they option for what I'm guessing is like a stand-in, a look-alike, a CG rendering of his face. Like, I don't know what the hell's happening here, but that ain't Scott Speedman in this film for the 2 seconds Michael Corvin's in this. And then you're thinking like, oh, he's coming back, because they hint at that even when she's looking for him and when she happens upon Eve. You think he's alive. And then at some point in the movie, she's kind of just like, well, or somebody says, something happens where they're like, well, Michael's dead. And she's just kind of like, okay. And that's that. Michael's just dead. And that's like just bizarre to me that they just killed him off like that. It just seems like one of those things that maybe they were expecting to bring him back later on. Maybe in the fifth film. Maybe if anyone cared, they'd be like, he was alive the whole time. But maybe no one gave a shit, and they were just like, all right, we'll roll with it. They went online, they saw the public opinion, and they were like, no one cares that Michael's missing. We won't bring him back for Blood Wars. We don't need to anyway. This is where I think also the writing, directing, all that stuff has changed. Like, nobody's involved from previous efforts. So that's tonally why there's a difference here as well. Yeah, I mean, we've got the villains here. You got this gigantic werewolf, and you know, despite what the ladies may say, bigger is not always better. This is very much proof of that. You have this big villain, and it's supposed to be, holy shit, it's like, this enormous werewolf. This is going to be such a big deal, this and that. The problem is that there's no character development in this at all. And I don't think the Underworld franchise has very good character development, much outside of their lame attempt at Celine and Michael's relationship, which I've always said is not very good. Then you've got Lucien and Sonia's romantic relationship, and I think they build up Lucien's character. I have to say, I think they build up Lucien's character the best of any character in this franchise. Like, I very much feel for his character more so than anybody. Celine does come across as very, very cold throughout the series. And she's not a super likable character that much, honestly. She's just kind of, I don't know, like this. She's hot. I think we can all agree on that for the most part. And that's really what sells it, is she's like cool and hot. And we have a moment, like they're supposed to build up this romance between her and Michael, which doesn't really work all that much. And then the reveal that Victor actually killed her parents and this and that, we didn't really get much time with her and Victor for their relationship to be connected strong enough that we would feel the betrayal. Same thing is kind of present throughout. It's just her character doesn't really have any like impactful moments. Like, she finds out she has a daughter that's Michael's, and that she was, the big kid was taken from her, and I get it. She's supposed to be a death dealer. She's supposed to be kind of void of emotions, but that's not really how they present this character. They present this character as someone who's tried to repress her emotions, but now has these breakdown moments, and they'll have those in these movies where she kind of steps aside, and she has to, of course, be away from everybody because she can't be seen having any weakness, because that's just not her thing. And she goes and she has this crying moment and everything, but it's just not felt. I don't feel it. And this sequel, as well as the one that comes after it, they're just very hollow. Every character just feels archetypal. The setups for everything, while I think are fine, they just don't amount to much. There's a character that's set up in this one and killed in the next one, and it's an okay moment. We'll get to it in that one, but yet again, it's just like, barely know these people. I barely know this villain. I barely, I know Celine. That's all I know. And to be honest, I don't know a fuck ton about her from the two previous movies where her story is fleshed out. Outside of that, she's a death dealer. Her family was killed by Victor. She thought it was werewolves, and she's fallen in love with Michael Corvin, which is forced, and I don't see any reason for that relationship to be all that connecting. So I think that, if I had to put my finger on the biggest issue of the franchise, is that the character development is very weak. But Lucien is in the first movie, and he's in the third movie, and I feel like he's a very sympathetic character that I totally understand. And maybe it's just because Michael Sheen, isn't that his name? Whatever it is. He sells it super well because he's allowed to have emotion. He's allowed to give these moments. And Celine, Kate Beckinsale, isn't that much, outside of, as I said, stepping out and crying for like 2 seconds. But I don't know, just doesn't work for me. You guys get what I'm throwing down here? And all right. So in the opening of this, humans find out that werewolves and vampires exist, and they start hunting them down and laying waste to all of them. But it has unified people against a common enemy. This is something I talk about all the time. The best thing that could ever happen to the human race would be an alien invasion, because we would stop seeing each other as, enemies to the north or the south or the east or the west or whatever, and be like, oh, you're Chinese, or you're black, or you're Muslim, or whatever the fuck people come up with to kill each other. We'd all just start seeing each other as humans. Be like, we have a common enemy. They're not of this earth. We need to eradicate them, and we need to join forces. So this, of course, is not something new to anything. This has been used in a couple things off the top of my head. It's I don't want to give it spoilers to anything, but the Watchmen movie kind of touches upon this. As I said, I don't want to give spoilers, so I'm not going to say anything more. I don't want to say touches upon. That's not what I meant to say, but as I said, no spoilers. Spoilers for this, obviously, but I don't know what anyone's seen and hasn't seen. Celine brutalizes these fucking guys that come and try to capture her, man. There's some good violence in there, some good gore, so I was into that. Then they freeze her, and then she breaks out, and you have CG smoke covering up her tits. Like, everything else is like total normal fog, smoke, whatever, and then you have like clear CG smoke over her tits. Come on, Kate. Come on. Commit to the role. Commit. Now, this is always a problem I have with superheroes in general. Because that's essentially what she is. But I have a point. And that point is that superheroes' powers always seem to vary wildly from moment to moment. Like, for instance, the Flash seems to be able to run across the whole planet in like 5 seconds in one episode of a show. And then the next episode of the show, like, something will happen and he just can't get there in time. He's like just 1 second late or half a second late or something, and you're like, you ran around the whole fucking world in 5 seconds. But now you can't make that 3-foot movement, like, or he's like late to work or something. It's like, come on, no fucking way. So, and that's kind of something that goes on here, where Celine walks in this corridor and there's like 7 guards, and she like zooms forward all in like one quick motion, because she's like developed this new power or something from the Corvin strain, whatever. And she comes by, just fast as she can, cuts all their throats. But then just kind of like walks and runs through the building, and then she like tries to run into the building later, and she's like getting, chased by guards, and they all have all this time and this. And it's like, if you can move that fast, then why aren't you moving that fast all the fucking time? Like, Michael does that in the first movie. I said that his speed is out of control. Like, he just is here, and then he like teleports here. You don't even know what the hell happened to him. It's literally like he teleports. You don't see him move at all. So it's just, yeah, in this, I see her do that. It happens so fast that now one of them can even pull the trigger before all of their throats are sliced, and she's at the end of them. It's like, yeah, it's a cool shot, but it creates fucking plot holes. Like, why doesn't she use this power all the time? She get exhausted? Does she need to replenish her fluids after doing that move once? She needs to suck blood? All right, lick it up off the floor of all the guys' throats you just cut, so you can use that again. That kind of stuff just, I don't know, just irritates me. It's cool in the moment, but as I said, like, one thing, I don't care if something's fantasy. Nothing has to be realistic. But you have to stick to the rules that you create in the movie. So if you have this ability, then you have this ability. Like, you can't just give it to them and then take it away, and then give it to them and take it away. It doesn't work like that. They either have the fucking thing or they don't have the thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, I really didn't think I was going to have a lot to say about this one, but I'm already 15 minutes in, and I'm not even halfway through my notes. Typical. I always do that. No, there's some I come into and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm going to talk for a while. When I know I'm going to talk for a while, those are the ones that end up being like 45 minutes to an hour. Oh, when I look at the notes and I go, oh shit, I know what I'm in store for, so like I have to take a deep breath before I start recording. And she's a full-on human killer in this movie. Like in the previous installments, they're like cloning blood and they only kill werewolves, and it's like, oh, she's kind of a good guy, she's not killing people. They fucking throw that shit out the door. She is slaying humans right and left. This ain't the Selena of the first two movies. Celine, sorry. It's not the fucking pop star that was killed by her assistant. Isn't that what it was? God, that was fucking tragic. I remember that movie. J-Lo, right? Isn't that who plays her in that movie? Is it J-Lo? Or is it? Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Fuck me, that movie's old. I did watch it. What a horribly tragic story that was. My God. And so, yeah, she drinks and she heals instantly, which, you know, okay. This makes no sense. This is another thing in the movie that makes no sense to me. So she's injured, and this guy takes her, and then he takes her to this place, and then he puts her somewhere, and then he like cuts his wrist, and he lets her feet off of him, and he's like, "You're not healing. What's wrong with you?" He's like, "When's the last time you fed?" And she's like, "Oh, whatever. It's been a while." And then he's like, "All right, you need to drink." And then she heals. He's like, it's like a big mystery. Like, why isn't she healing? Why isn't she healing? Really? Like, you guys always fucking drink blood and whatnot to heal, to stay youthful. Like, why? And she would know that. Like, she would come out, she'd be hungry. She just killed like 40 fucking dudes. Blood's laying everywhere. She didn't suck any of their blood. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, he takes her, and it's like this big moment. Like, he's gonna take her to this like, safe house, and they get there, and he puts her up on the set, and then it's just like, oh, she needs blood. A vampire needs blood? No way. Wow. Good thing we came here. We would have never figured it out. We would have never had the proper tools. Like, who would have thought the fucking vampire needed blood? Like, that kind of shit, you're just like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't blood be the first thing? Like, oh, she's really, like a human is like really thirsty, and then someone like has to take him to a laboratory, take him to a safe house, march around, take all these tests, all this, and they're like, have you tried water? They're like, water? Oh shit, water! Yeah, we should try that. We'll put that on the list of things to try. I just don't know. Oh my God, when she started drinking and she was fine, I was like, that's it? That's what was injuring her? She needed blood? Like, I get it, she was frozen for a long time, and like he didn't know that, but she did, and she would be thirsty, and oh my God, it's so dumb. Like, who writes this shit? Anyway, Wes Bentley makes a little cameo here, essentially, and Celine just throws this motherfucker out the window. She extracts some information from him and then just throws him out the window, and he hits that floor hard, and he's brutally murdered. And she just like superhero lands right next to him as he hits the ground. That's actually badass. Now, like, he seemed to be pretty apologetic and really didn't seem like the bad guy in the scenario, but she's like straight up, the anti-hero in this one for sure. I know she's supposed to be in the other ones, but she really is in this one. She's like questionable. Absolutely. And then, oh man, then we get the kid. And the kid, the wolves are all starved. And all the wolves in this are CG and look shitty, but they're all supposed to be starved. And then like they attack the kid, and the kid gets bit, and then she just grabs the wolf and just rips it in half. That was pretty badass. I really liked that a lot. And then she finds out it's her kid, which they don't really make a big deal of all that much. She's kind of like, oh, like, it's Michael's kid, Michael and I's kid. Okay. Like, moving on. Like, I think I will say this about it, though. I was happy that they didn't try to play us as fools as the audience. Like, we wouldn't figure that out. Like, it's obviously Celine and Michael Corvin's kid. Like, 100%, that's super stupid obvious. So thank you for revealing it early, because if you would have tried to make that some twist at the end, everyone in the theater would have groaned out loud and been like, are you guys seriously? You think we're fucking idiots? Like, we're well aware that that's their kid. That said, so I'm thankful that they revealed it early, but Celine would still be in shock. To her, it's been like 10 minutes. She got knocked out, then she wakes up, and it's been 12 years, and she has a kid that's like 10. That would be shocking. It would be earth-shattering. But she's been around for a long time. You know, nothing surprises her anymore, I guess. Sure, why not? I like how they go to this dude's place, and they meet his dad, and the dad's like, we only have a handful of fighters. Now, what's a handful to you? Like, if somebody was like, oh, I only have a handful of something, I guess it would depend on the size. Now, this isn't applicable for that, because you can't really fit soldiers in your hand. But when you say, like, I have a handful of soldiers, you would think 5? 10 at best? Dude, there's like 250 vampires there. That's a handful? I mean, I guess if you're, comparing it to Days of Old, where he had thousands and thousands at his disposal, and to him, like, 250 is like pittance comparatively, I guess. But when he says a handful, I'm thinking, oh man, this is just going to be some small outfit of, like, 10 guys, 10 vampires, female, male, doesn't matter. But you know what I'm saying? Like, when he said a handful, and then they go into this room, and there's like 200 of them. I'm like, man, you have a very different definition of a handful to me. I was going to make a tit joke there. And I was like trying to figure out how to word the handful part of it. I feel like I'm cupping balls right now. I don't tits. I mean, unless they're like hanging tits. Down here. Grab them. Fuck am I talking about? All right. Yeah, wolves. The wolves in this movie are just animals. Like, they don't sympathize with them at all. Like, there's no, like, the wolves are very much just antagonists and very animalistic in this. There's no like werewolves in this movie that have any kind of say in anything, except for, of course, the main giant CG wolf. And then Celine resurrects this dude. I wrote his name down on the other side. The fuck is his name? David, right? Isn't that what it is? Pretty sure it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go with David. I'm like 99% sure. No, I'm 100. It's David. But yeah, David dies, and then she just like reaches her hand inside of him and just starts his heart. I guess this is a new power she has from the Corvin strain. So now she's propelling herself forward towards what this ultimately becomes in the next movie, which we'll talk about, her becoming something. And then I like that the daylight bullets don't work on her. That makes perfect sense, since she's obviously immune to daylight now that she has the Corvin strain. And the detective that helps her out, he has like the best character moment where he explains that his wife was bitten and that he tried to keep her safe and, keep the secret, and then somebody found out and they came and she like just burned herself up in the sunlight. That was a really emotional moment. But fucking what else do we get from this guy? Like a 1-minute scene before that, I was like, oh, this is an emotional story and this is a good performance by the actor. I've seen the actor a bunch. But I'm like, it doesn't really like set him up at all outside of that one scene. It's like, well, why are you helping me? Well, because my wife is a vampire, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But his character has like 2 minutes on screen before this. So there's no like connection. Like, David's character and this detective's character should have been one and the same, so they could have developed them together. Maybe he's a vampire on the force. and he's been able to keep it from his peers or something. And it wouldn't work though because he'd have to go out in the sun. So I don't know, something though. Just give the guy more screen time. That makes the most sense. It's just I'm like I remembered him, but I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like he plays almost no role in this movie. Now he's playing a substantial role out of nowhere. Like he switched sides or something. Like it's just all very lazy writing, is what it really comes down to. This feels like studio interference or something, for sure, or just a fast greenlit thing. And yeah. I already talked about all that shit. The van driving. Okay, so I think it's David. No, I think it's the doctor. Yeah, I think it's the doctor. He's down in like the parking garage, and there's like a van driving him now. Pretty sure that's who it is. I watched this movie like 3 or 4 days ago now. Just haven't had time to fucking review it. I've watched like 4 things since. So, pretty sure it's the doctor who like created this wolf and froze her, and like is using the blood on himself because they're all looking for Eve. She's like the key, which is what the whole next movie. Okay, so I would really like to be able to finish this fucking review, but my camera keeps telling me that I don't have any memory. That's why this has a cut in it, which I absolutely hate, but it just keeps fucking cutting me off. Grrr. Guy's fucking got a van coming at him, and it's like the longest fucking parking garage of all time. The thing's driving at him for like 5 fucking minutes, man. This is ridiculous. Anyway, and yeah, the doc becomes a hybrid, and then the dude is like instant heal, nothing can affect him, and then Celine like sticks a grenade inside of him, and he's like, I heal instantly, and she's like, I'm counting on it, and then it like blows up, and he like, I guess I ingest the fucking. I don't know. I didn't think he was able to die like this yet again. I talked about this at the beginning of my first review of this series, that I remembered something like that, where the guy, he shouldn't have been able to be killed like this, and I'd have to go back and see what was exactly said again to be like, does this work? I thought he was not able to die like this, but I don't know. He takes the blast and then he heals, and then I guess like it doesn't matter. It's a fucking movie. I remember that the first time, and this time yet again I'm like, should that kill him? I don't feel like it should. And then the movie just kind of abruptly ends. Like she just kills people and kills the guys, and then the movie's just over. And you're like, oh, okay. So I'm going to abruptly end this.